Welcome to the 25/8 podcast. Unfortunately, this week I'm not accompanied by my compatriot, Miss Stacy Toy, because she has just gotten back from her week-long stint down in Orlando at Gay Days. So in the interim, I was asked to be on a panel called 20 Minutes in a Beer, which the AAF does every few months. It's really good for local professionals and artists and creatives that are in this industry. And I was lucky to sit up on the dais with Paola Giangiacomo, Dave and Lindsay Corigliano from Voyager Video, my good friend John Mikulak from WVIA Studios, and a guy that I met that night, Jonathan Edwards from Contention Media, who I ended up having a very long conversation afterwards with. Really cool guy doing some really cool stuff. We were also fortunate enough to have it moderated by Mr. Joe Van Wee, who has been a very good friend for a very, very long time, and it was nice to share the environment with him. So what we talked about a lot of stuff having to do with how we do what we do individually, and some common threads that are present throughout our respective businesses. And the panel was about an hour long, and Frank from Contention Media was kind enough to film it and give us the footage so we can sync the sound up and get some really good information out to you from these incredible talented people. In reviewing the footage and what we talked about, there were some situations where I came off kind of jerkish, and it was not my intention. But please take a listen and visit all these people. They're all over social media. They're all over the internet, and they do incredible work. So without further ado, let's do an intro and get to our panel.
Now, I'm going to introduce NEPA, American Advertising Federation's fourth female president, Jamie Hannigan. Let's hear it.
Hi, guys.
All right, let's hear it for Jamie Hannigan.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to say thank you all for coming out tonight. This is my last event as your president. So I also wanted to say thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure serving for the past 2 years, and I'm really excited for what your next president will have in store for you. Also, make sure to look up our next event. It will be at the Rail Riders Stadium on June 21st. We're going to have suites courtesy of the Rail Riders. Check that out. It's coming soon. And thank you all for coming, and thank you to our panelists for being here. I still feel really short with this microphone. I'm going to sit down now, but thank you.
What a beautiful, beautiful speech, Jamie. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to introduce the panel. This has never been done before in the AAF, so you're witnessing something that's very maverick. I mean, Jamie went out on a ledge with Lindsay Barrasse and put together a great panel of talented people tonight. And I would introduce them, but I'd probably lie about things. I'm just going to make a lot of stuff up. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And we're going to start with John from Contention Media. Let's hear it for John. All right, John.
Oh, it sounded like that.
Are you going to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm John.
Tell us a little bit. What's
I
your
need
sign?
instructions.
What's your sign?
My sign.
Tell us a little bit about your business.
I own and operate Contention Media. We do lots of short films for mostly social media, push it out. I co-own with Frank here 570 Drone, which is kind of awesome. So I'm also John.
All right, John. Thanks for being with us here tonight, John. Up next, one of the Voyager video, another Voyager in video. Dave
Yes, that's right,
Corigliano.
This is going to be the greatest thing ever. Yeah.
That's me. I'm Dave Corigliano, apparently. And I own Voyager Video with my wife, Lindsay. And we're a video production company. We do commercials, events, documentaries, short films, all that good stuff, marketing. And that's all I know about it. Lindsay knows a lot more. So I'm just going to pass it to her.
Lindsay Barrasse, Corigliano.
This is my husband, and we own Voyager Video together. We do video production work, handle social media for clients, run their social media accounts as far as their video production goes. So we handle filming the coverage for a local business, let's say, and put that out and handle their marketing and really help and work with the client to understand how to get more money for them through using video production and video marketing and using social media to the best of what you can use it for. As well as, we make, short films, feature films. We work with Joe at JVW. We've worked with Marky here, which will be later introduced at 25/8. And we've worked with John and everyone here on the panel. So I'm going to pass it now to Paola.
Paola Giangiacomo.
Very good. I'm Paola Giangiacomo, as he just said. I host Call the Doctor on WVIA, and I also anchor news on the Fox News Network. It's a program, Fox News Headlines 24/7 on Sirius XM Channel 115 in New York City. And I was formerly the anchor at WNEP TV for 13 years. And just like Lindsay, I also produce and star in video marketing videos for social media and businesses and clients who want to expand their business and their reach through social media and all social media platforms.
Thanks, Paula. Up next, John Mikulak.
Thank you, Joe. I'm John Mikulak. I'm with WVIA Studios, which is actually a division of WVIA, so we know Paula. It's kind of the corporate and documentary wing. I do a lot of corporate videos, documentaries. We're going to start venturing into a lot of web-based short docs soon. We tend to do a lot of, again, social media and web-based corporate marketing, which is being kind of successful for our clients, and so that's kind of where I focus most of my efforts at this point. That's about it.
Tell us a little bit about your documentary this year.
Oh, God, I'm not going to.
Come on.
Yeah, Polka King, everybody knows.
The Polka King,
I
John.
did the Polka King documentary that turned into the movie that Jack Black did. So I think everyone almost knows that by now.
You never know. I got to push it. We ran out of time. So let's move on.
I feel like Matt Damon.
Mark Dennebaum from JVW Inc.
I'm Mark Dennebaum, and I own 25/8 Studios Productions, whatever you want to call it. And I've worked in Los Angeles on shows such as Heroes, Scrubs, Sons of Anarchy. Decided to move back here and follow this man for a little bit, and then I decided to find my own way, and we're coming up on 8 years now. We do everything from commercial work to social's a big thing, documentaries, feature films. If you find any of my feature films online, they're terrible, but I won't give you a refund. Yeah, just thanks to everyone for being here. There's a lot of talented people, and thanks to Joe for moderating, and thanks to all of you for being here. So I want to say thank you.
Let's hear it for Mark. I just had a realization. Everyone who's pretty much worked for me in production now has their own production company. Because Mark.
What does that say?
Mark referred to me as the Michael Scott of production. Now we know our panel, and we're going to. I'm going to open it up to the crowd, but I do have prepared questions that people submitted online. In case you guys feel shy, I'll ask the questions, and you don't want that because this will derail. The wheels will come off.
Yes.
So let's move on. Let's start with the crowd. Anyone have any drone questions? Flying drone videos. I'm going to move on to the questions.
Ron Andruskavich, he's a budding drone operator. Surely you have some questions.
How do they fly?
Let's move on to the email questions, shall we? I was going to do a 20-minute presentation. There'd be 5 minutes for questions, but Jamie said that's not going to work. But first question, and I'm going to point this to. Let's start with Mark. Mark, what is the most challenging subject person to work with in your experience? Do you have pointers?
You.
Well, I was on a lot of drugs then.
Over the years, we have, yeah.
Do you have pointers to how to make that process go more smoothly during a shoot?
Difficult clients and situations?
Clients, talent, maybe an employee.
Employees work for me. That's what they should do. Clients are really tough because it's a relationship that you want to continue and you don't want to insult anyone and you don't want to make enemies because in Northeast PA the main export is gossip. So if you do something wrong, by the time it leaves your mouth, everyone will know. That being said, sometimes. Especially with our clients, you know, we like to think of ourselves as bigger than local, not taking away anything from anybody up here. I mean, that's the mindset that we have to have, just because I come from film. The hardest part with clients is probably sometimes they don't realize that my job is also kind of like the Secret Service. So not only do I have to protect them from other people, sometimes I have to protect them from themselves and making not the best decisions and trying to talk them out of it. My conversations with clients basically go, it's your money, you can spend it however you want to. I don't agree with that, but you tell me where to aim and I'll shoot it. It's difficult. It's a much longer conversation because any good client relationship is like a marriage, and you have to make sure that everyone is fed emotionally and financially and everyone's happy. So it's a tough balance. It's a very tough balance. There's a lot of nights where I just go home and cry in my fat pillow. Oh. Sometimes I stayed over your house and cried in your fat pillow. Yeah. But yeah, that's about.
I videotaped it. All of it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. No, it's Twitch. It's on Twitch.
Just to stay on that topic, Paula, did you ever have like a difficult guest or an interview? How do you reel those back in?
Well, sometimes in television, guests will be talkative, like let's say in the green room or off camera, and be really talkative and animated and jovial, and then as soon as you sit them down and the cameras turn on, they clam up because they're either nervous or camera shy. So I just try to talk to people before the camera starts rolling and just convince them or explain to them that just be yourself, be natural, don't pay attention to the camera, pretend we're having a conversation or a discussion, and just treat it that way. And sometimes they will relax a little bit. So.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to go back to the emails here. How long does a 30-second commercial typically take to turn around from concept to completion? I'm going to throw this over to the Voyager team.
So depends, though, doesn't it?
Oh. Well, it's 30 seconds. So, I mean, if you want to get fancy, I guess I could. I mean, there's no way to answer that, obviously. So that's my answer.
Here, I'll take this one.
Okay, she'll take it.
Yeah, because it's really difficult to kind of grasp the idea of someone comes in and they say, well, I just want to do a straight to camera, sit down and talk. Well, that might take a 30-second dialogue, let's say, of them talking to camera, pitching whatever their business is or their product. But the time it takes to set up, the time it takes to figure out what gear you need, what kind of lighting, post-production, pre-production, all that kind of goes in and accounts for all that. Or then you might have a client who wants to have like a narrative type ad where they have, you know, a story that comes along. Now, I'm thinking like going back to the question about who, like, being difficult to work with, you know, children and animals are always very, you know, hard to wrangle, or especially like animals. And we had worked with Mark on one of his productions, on 25/8 did, for Griffin Pond.
Oh, that's
and
right,
that and that was like a 30-second ad, and we filmed that, I think it was 2 days. How long were we? Because it was like one day at the house, and then one day, and that was like a narrative type ad where the couple wakes up.
No, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if I can interject on this topic, like
Yeah.
just a little bit, is that a lot of the times, and I'm sure my esteemed colleagues up here and my peers can say, you get the question a lot. Well, how much is a 30-second ad? To my response is, well, how much is a house? Because if you want to do it direct to camera that never has an edit, that's obviously going to be a lot cheaper because you don't have to spend the time. Most of the money that we make is due to labor. So I found that on average, for every hour I shoot or for every minute I want to get is about 5-6 hours of editing. The hardest part is to try to tell somebody, you know, there's a big difference between going like, you know, I want to tell a single camera about my candy shop, and the same person going like, well, I want cartoons to run around like Roger Rabbit, and then I want an explosion at the end, which I'm all for, but they don't realize that the cost is the same. So what I don't think a lot of people around here understand is that, number one, like they think like I Dream of Jeannie, you tip your head and magic happens. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of preparation. Everybody up here I know has gone through pre-production, and sometimes our clients don't allow them to do that. So sometimes what you get in the end is shittier than it could have been. We like to take our time, but there's been shoots where within 24 hours I've prepped, I've shot it, I've cut it, and I've delivered it. And these are, you know, the Super Bowl spot that I did, that was a 24-hour turnaround from the moment we started shooting. So we work 24 hours to get it done, and that's what it takes. This is not a job. This is a way of life. So
Like
Oh,
does that help to...
sometimes you don't sleep. Like you go...
No. Sleep is...
Yeah.
Yeah,
or you're
sleep
on
is-
set. You
sleep
might
is
be
like the
working
MH30
from,
plane.
Yeah, 8 hours, 12 hours, 17-hour day to get a 30-second commercial. So, or multiple days. So it's kind of a really loaded question. How long does a 30-second commercial take? It depends on what the client is looking and what they want.
And I just want to jump in. There's also a difference between, like, if you have a commercial that's scripted, right? It's much easier to edit that because you literally know the lines and everything. As a blueprint, as Mark just said. But if you have testimonial spots where you've done an interview and you might have like 20 minutes to half an hour worth of footage that has to be a 30, because out here everyone runs 30s because, you know, you get the more frequency. So that can take much longer to edit because you've got to log that, you've got to find the story. Sometimes the interviewee, especially if it's a testimonial spot or whatever, it's just really hard to create this narrative. And actually, you've got about 25 seconds because you have to have 5 seconds for your end slate. So you have 25 seconds to tell your story. It can easily take a day to
John,
find
to
that.
clarify for the audience, how long is 30 seconds?
In milliseconds?
So how do you price it? Like, you know, how do you give your
How,
clients a
him or I. Okay, so how do we price it? Put a pin in that. And I want to go back to what Paula said, is that a lot of us, especially me, like I deal with nonprofits that have a lot to do with trauma. And the people that I have to sit in front of and interview, it'll sometimes be 4 hours to get them to that point. They are not paid actors. They are not in the union. It's very hard for people to open their hearts and their soul and convey that to an audience who's going to judge them. So usually the first hour is just getting them comfortable, you know, which is what you try to do in the green room, and then they go out and they're just like deer in headlights. Hold on. See, now, if they were one of our clients, I wouldn't have let them drive past right now. Joe will attest to this, and all these people up here will attest to this. Testimonials are a very effective way to get across marketing and advertising, but if done well. The hardest part about it is that you have 5 hours now of story, and how do you do justice and compartmentalize their story into an amount of time that you can hold your breath for before passing out. That's pretty audacious to have somebody do that. And it's a huge responsibility for people like us because we give a damn. Does that answer the question?
Well, pricing-wise,
pricing.
Pricing it varies. If you're going to have testimonials, if how many people are you going to be edit, how much time is going to go into the edit, price per editing minute, price for production, things that you might need to get. You might need props. You might need to make props. So kind of, it's a very
I get it. I live it too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, we have very few clients that when they say they want a video, you just say, well, you just have to wait till I'm done for me to give you a price. Like, they want to know.
No, it's. What was that, Jamie?
Oh yeah, I'll walk around.
Yeah, Joe might have enough cable.
I got about 30 feet.
So let me see if I can answer your question, because I just actually checked our books, and since we've opened, we've done 601 separate videos for clients. There's 2 ways that I do it. Number one is that I say it's time and material, and it's going to be I can ballpark it that it's not going to be less than this, and it's not going to be more than this. The other one is if you have something like John was talking about, where it's narrative, where it's out, and that like this, you need this prop, this location, so you're going to get releases for that. You need insurance. You need talent. You need all this stuff. So right there, you have a budget that you can get to your client. Usually, like a full day shoot, which no one around here does a 12-hour day, but that's what I'm used to, and I hate 12-hour days. So for that whole day, probably a good 2 hours or 2 days of post for me, then client reviews, then revisions, and then color, then sound. So I know in the ballpark how many days, day and a quarter, day and a half it'll be. And you're never accurate. You're never like, oh, I got everything. When you walk in to buy penny candy and with $1 and you walk out, you're not getting 100 pieces of penny candy. You might be getting 90, which is your fault because now you lost money. If that makes sense.
Nope.
I think it also depends on how professional you want the video. Like, you guys.
Oh, absolutely. You can iPhone it, but
you guys are, the real deal when it comes to making commercials or documentaries or movies. But I've worked with videographers who, if you want a social media video that's about 2 to 3 minutes long, you can get it for like $300 at the cheapest, but the quality is not going to be like a Marky Dennebaum or a Voyager video or a mini documentary. But
or Contention Media.
Contention Media, but it can be done. I mean, people are shooting videos now on their iPhones, but it just depends on the client and what the client wants, what they want to spend, and where they want it to be shown, whether if it's on television or social media. And it also depends on their budget, but it can be done.
If I can, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Going back to your question, if they can come in and say, like, we have a budget of $2,000, right, which is very low for somebody like me, at least now I know the colors in the crayon box to play with. And I know, like, where I can't go beyond. Because to me, I agreed to that $2,000, even if it cost me $5,000. I got to stick with that because I'm a man of my word, or at least I have to be. So.
Because we struggle with this all the time. We have clients just like, well, the barest outline of it, we want to do it, and then what's the budget? And there's no script. So I have to constantly go back. Well, how many people are involved? How many locations are there? Is it going to be scripted? Are you going to need, and you have to keep whittling away and getting as many details as you can, and then kind of ballpark it. And we usually are kind of but there's times we're burned where like it changes or like it took way longer to edit because all of a sudden in post they decided to throw in all these things, and it's like, well, no, do you go back and then say, well, do you kill the goose and keep going, we want more money, or do you just go, okay, we'll eat it this time? And then, yeah, it's tough. It really is. But you try to get as much up front in terms of detail. That's what we found. Yes, John?
Our biggest challenge is not on the budgeting of the pre-pro, it's on the re-edits. When a client comes back, he can never be happy, and they endlessly want to re-edit, and in the back of our minds, we're like, okay, it's chipping into our, in the budget that we had gave them. How do you guys handle re-edits?
Jonathan, give us a.
Well, no, I got the mic. Let me just, because this happens. Yeah. This has been happening all the time.
It does happen.
Lindsay, how dare you talk over me? Yeah, we tend to do a few rounds, and then it's like.
Yeah, we offer like one changeover where we give them, okay, here's the edit. You tell us what you like, what you don't like. We're gonna do. Then there's charge for editing. Then we say, okay, well, you're charging for our time. Yeah, it is a hard conversation to have, but we kind of put that, up
It's in the contract.
It's in the contract.
And,
so.
But, they come and they complain, and they wonder, why did you rack up so many hours? And you have to remind them, because they forget that they came back to you for 5 rounds of edits that took literally another day or two. And they just were like, well, you doubled the budget. Well, you doubled the editing time.
And different stations have different ways that they need things to be exported at. Or, some stations like 5 seconds of black prior to, some stations like 10. So you have to edit for the station. Or if someone wants a social media video in a square format, or if they want it, have captions or everything like that, it all depends on where it's going, how they want it edited. And then if they want to re-edit, there should be, a charge for that because it is your time. You are working,
Oh, sorry.
If you have like 10 rounds of edits, that's export and upload time as well to Vimeo. And so we actually charge an export and upload time because you can end up spending hours exporting and uploading things.
And you can't just like set it and forget it. You kind of have to watch it grow. It's like paint drying because sometimes it could just stop. And then you're like, oh my goodness, I waited, 3 hours for this to export or do what it needs to do. And it just kind of got hung up and you kind of have to start everything. Yeah.
What do you do when the client doesn't want to pay, but they still want the change orders? That's usually a big problem too. I mean.
So let me. The revisions thing should be in the contract. We allow 2, right? We give the first one, and we use this great website called Vimeo, which they've now added client reviewals that are frame specific, and you can click where you want to do everything. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. I, starting out, foolishly got a great gig for a nuclear power company. They have money. At the end of the project, I had 38 rounds of revisions. And it wasn't, and some of them were like, it was a 17-minute video. We don't like the hue of the red on the lower third. Can we see it without it? I'm like, well, just that still frame, or no, we want to see the whole thing again. So now a 17-minute video back in 2012 took 3 hours to export. All right, so now I do 38 revisions times 3 hours. It adds up. And like Lindsay says, like, you got to be there because if something goes on, it's back to square one. You got to re-export it again. And stupid stuff happens all the time because Apple decided to do something. Or Premiere.
I find at our place, we end up doing we'll do the revision. We'll try to stay to the one revision.
Yeah, you want to keep your client happy.
Keep them happy, but we do endless revisions. And then on the uploads, it takes a full day to upload to Comcast and VRE and NEP and Fox.
Call me.
And you're talking with your contact there.
It's a full day to do an upload. So we struggle with that as well.
No, so I've got it down to like we deliver to the big four. So we have ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, and then we do Comcast every now and again, right? So I have it down to a science where I can get all those loaded within 15 minutes. But the problem is that every station has a different delivery system. So yeah, and John can speak about like the Premiere templates, which makes it easier for us. Like I was just listening to a guy who's a very well-known visual effects guy, and he's like, every year we find ways to do our work quicker and easier. But just because what used to take 8 hours now takes 4 doesn't mean don't take that extra 4 hours to get it as right as you can. Because maybe there's 4 extra hours you can spend on the sound mix or like the color. You know, so it's not just like we're 12 hours in, you know, pay us for that when you can get a value of 16 hours because we got this new thing that'll make it go faster that we have to pay for, that we have to reimburse ourselves by working hard extra hours like everyone up here does.
Mike, do you have a question back there? Oh, you answered it.
Yeah, Mike's trying to steal my fiance.
You could
Ask away, John.
Ask away, man.
On the 30-second commercials, are you guys budgeting are you imagining this in 1080? Are you doing 4K?
It all depends on what they want.
Does it include all of your services as the price? Or do you budget it and do the pre-pro, and when you're presenting a budget, is it based off of different scenarios? Gym bar, certain type of lighting, 4K versus straight out 1080.
Well, a lot of the stations sometimes require even an SD format. They want it, and they want the safety lines on it, and they want to make sure, because in this area, a lot of people still are only viewing in SD. But for us, I don't know if it's how it is for everyone on the panel, but we like to shoot in 4K, so we have it. But then it all depends on what the client wants and what they want to be, and what the station wants too, if we're giving to a station. So.
When you shoot in 4K, do you protect 4:3 or do you push the graphics out?
No, it's 16.
Screw that. No, John, I shoot 4K all the time, just because.
Graphics, do you keep the graphics with that 4:3?
No, I mean.
You can't push them off because all broadcasters have AFD, which is automatic format descriptor. We can handle your graphics.
Yeah, I used to a long time ago, but now it's like I couldn't stand it. It was so horrible. Just hold on.
I'm so excited.
We don't charge more for 4K. I mean, I shot 4K all the time because I love the ability, but we always deliver 1080 because no one's. But the ability to push in on 4K is so awesome. So yeah, but I mean, you don't charge more for 4K. I don't think you can really do that at this point.
Wait, John, I think Mark wants to say something. Hold on.
I appreciate everything that you say. I just haven't had a podcast in a while. So, what was your question? Do we shoot in 4K?
Well, that and then graphics. I was curious if you guys protect.
No, and I came to this realization a long time ago. We shot in 16:9 and we delivered. It was weird because it was like there's rectangles on top, rectangles on the sides, rectangles. It was rectangles all over. And I called up all the stations, all the technical guys, and the only thing after 3 days we can come up with is that unless we go to everyone's house and everyone's television and everyone's cable box and make sure that it's set up the right way, we can't control how the end user sees it. Now, on top of with the 4:3 thing, that's an antiquated technology. That's like asking me to go back to 8-track tape. I don't think that we should change our framing, how we shoot it, anything for the 10% of people who still have tube TVs.
And then you have a lot of people who are purchasing TVs and they don't realize that a smooth motion is set on their TVs automatically. So, which is, I guess it's fine for sports, but a lot of time it makes things look like a soap opera effect.
All the time.
And so it like kind of degrades like work even that, we've put so much hard work into to make it look very professional, and with the smooth motion setting being automatically set on television, and not many people know how to go in and change that and alter that. So everything's going to look a specific way.
Broadcasters, we embed AFD, automatic format descriptor. So we will take, if we happen to take our Fox signal and drop it down to one of our SD channels, which we do, I embed an AFD signal, which will take that 16:9 and air it letterbox, which protects the way you produce the spot. And then, and I'll public the way that you imagined it. So broadcasters are handling that on our end, so you can produce the way you see it.
Jonathan,
Thank you for that, John.
how do you price drones into a production? If someone wants, all their establishing shots, heavy drone footage, how would you do that pricing?
For drone footage, it really is how much I charge hourly right now, and it's the first thing I look at isn't really the price, but it's like the location, like how much it's going to cost us to insure it there. Can we even fly there? How many hours do we have to spend calling the tower to convince them to let us fly there? And just, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, but mostly it's just basically hourly for raw footage. Editing is just like everything else, but
And you're in 4K. You shoot 4K.
yeah, I've been shooting everything 4K for a while now. It's almost no point
What type of
not to.
certifications do you need to fly?
Right now, you need outside of location-specific clearances, you need FAA 107 license and make sure you're insured.
Do you guys have all that?
Yeah, we have all that.
Yes.
You said you have to contact the tower to get permission to shoot?
Oh yeah, the airport tower.
Fly a drone anywhere you want. Like, who do you?
You have.
Protocol with that.
Well, it depends on the airport. This area is super ridiculously awesome for filmmaking just because we have like almost no regulations and everybody knows each other. Like, I know most of us know the guys at the airport on a first name basis now. But it really depends on your area. I mean, if you're going to fly near JFK, you're just not going to do it. Get a cable cam or something. But for around here, you have like 5 miles within the airport where you can't fly commercially without specific written permission. So
Thanks.
I think I answered the question.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy, Ron Anders Gavis, did you take note of that? Contact us.
Well, any drone over 2 pounds and under 55 pounds. So if you got a drone that's over 55 pounds, let's talk. Like
That's a helicopter.
Yeah.
Any questions for me? Oh, go ahead. Go.
One of the challenges I find at our facility when I watch all the video and the pieces that are produced is audio quality. How do you as producers handle interviews, omnidirectional versus unidirectional, and then how do you handle shotgun mics, and are you happy with it? The omni-uni, is it all done in post-production? We struggle with audio.
I will, number one, I will not shoot in a situation like we're in right now, ever. It's too much to fight with. Number two, I only use a shotgun microphone. I'll use a lav maybe 1% of the time. And the other benefit is that I co-own a recording studio. So when it's all done, I just send him the files, he sends them back to me, they're mixed and compressed perfect for delivery. And that's where I get lucky. But people disregard sound so much. It's 50% of what you're trying to get across. When you think about marketing and advertising, right, it's a visual and an audio medium, right? So you're getting two benefits. You're seeing something and you're hearing something. So to me, that's 60 seconds of real estate that you can play with. Audio is just as important as the image. There's this great saying that says, if it doesn't look good, they'll forgive you. If it doesn't sound good, they'll never forgive you.
So what do your audio guys do with that shotgun mic? Are they?
I just make it sound amazing.
I'm curious how they
Oh, secrets.
No, it's all about placement.
Shotgun mic audio sound good.
Well, you point it at the subject and get it as close as you can. I mean, you make sure you have a good mic, as good as you can. Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, if it's needed. I mean, sometimes a little noise in the background doesn't hurt, yeah. But you try to get it as close as you can. You make sure you have a good mic, and I mean, you know, what we'll do sometimes if we're in a, like, we like to do, like, if we can, you know, a nice wide, like a interview shot, let's say a testimonial or something, nice and wide and, you know, artistic or whatever. But it's hard to get a mic in that close. So, you know, one of the tricks we'll do is we'll just have that mic in the shot, as long as it's not in front of the person, and then we just record a clean plate without the mic in the shot, and we just have that superimposed over it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you know, and that's one little trick that you can do. But it's really just about getting a good mic as close as you can, and you know, there's not much else. You know, there's no other secrets besides that.
And like you primarily use lavs, right, when working in.
Yeah, but lavs are hard because if it's a windy day, you're picking up the wind. So a boom mic would be preferred, definitely.
And I was just going to say, we use lavs probably more than boom, although I wouldn't mind actually going boom more in terms of things. But we just have, in terms of isolating noise, we have some really nice lavs that just, like this, he wouldn't shoot in this. If you're doing a documentary and it's verite and there's well, I'm just saying you'd have to. Either you're going to go very directional with your boom, and of course you're going to interview them against this wall, so you're not hearing that, or you're going to lob, so it's just going to isolate much more. So.
Is using uni or omnidirectional lavaliers?
Drew. Okay, there you go.
So the pickup. Which one am I? So the pick.
Turn yours up.
I don't know what I'm doing, Joe.
77s are awesome.
So, do you want to come up here? Hey, I went on a shoot with you. What's going on, man? Unidirectional is more booms, right? Omnidirectional is more lavaliers, right? So the good thing about lavaliers is if you place it right and you hide it right, you actually pick up a lot of the stuff that the boom would pick up. That's the benefit to that. I think it picks up room noise, but we're at a place right now where we can throw a filter on and be like,
Dr. Scholl's
Great for
removal
feet.
pad. No, for the lab.
Ideally, you would boom and lav on 2 channels, and then when you mix that sound, it sounds so much fuller and more interesting. That's
You mix a boom and a
not always, but when you do it, it sounds best. But we rarely do that, right, Drew?
well, when you guys
He said record wild sounds. That's what he said. Make sure you record.
that's the boom shotgun mix. That's how they do films. It's always a boom shotgun mix. You might, if it's like the West Wing, there might be 4 boom operators on there, might be 9 lavaliers hooked up. These guys are moving like this, but it's always a mixture of the boom and the lav because you're getting the tight pickup pattern of the dialogue, and you're getting the ambience of everything around it, which means you don't have to do Foley, you don't have to do any of that shit.
And we recently did some testimonial spots for UGL, and one where he just did boom because we had 2 people, and the other one we actually lobbed and boomed, and the sound was so much better. I was like, from now on, when I try to do this, I'm going to try to do that. But you can't always do it.
Brighter range of frequency.
What manufacturers are you using? Sony, Technico, what are you using?
Okay, so anybody else want to answer this or? To me, it's not the instrument you use, it's how you use it. So I think my shotgun, I have a shotgun, and I have a shotgun that's an Audio-Technica, and then I have one that's a Sennheiser, and then my 3 wireless lavaliers are all Sennheisers. And then the recording studio for like voiceovers has like what Gwen Stefani records on, so I'm really good with the voiceovers. But if you don't know how to use it, you can buy the $4,000 microphone. If you don't know how to use it, it's going to sound like crap. My boy in the back will attest to that.
What all do we have, Drew?
The shotguns are Sennheiser 419.
See, I don't know all this stuff.
Yeah, their pickup patterns like aiming it. When you see the NFL on the side.
Like if I in the interface, I turned it this far to carry off, it would drop. Sennheiser 419. In particular, depends where you are.
That was a barn burner. You guys, that was a good volley. I liked it. Oh, yeah, I got sign high. There was a lot of audio talk in there. I always avoid that part of the set. It's just going to be a problem. Yeah. I just ignore it. Any other questions from the crowd that maybe somebody didn't ask a question or any? Oh, question.
Do you want to submit your questions online?
Question.
I have a follow-up for Paola. You talked about how you prep them in the green room. What happens when you're on set and you've got a talker that won't stop? How do you handle and how do you handle it?
I tell them to shut up. No, I'm just kidding.
It doesn't look like that on air.
No. I let them talk, and as soon as I can find an opening, that's what I wait for an opening, and if or maybe a follow-up question, or refer it maybe to another medical expert on the panel. You just have to kind of try to weave your way in and out and make it more of a discussion than a question and answer type thing, so it doesn't look so.
If you prep them in a commercial break, and I don't know how that show's formatted, in other shows that you posted for us, in that scenario, would you, in a commercial break, kind of say...
We don't have commercial breaks, so...
No, but in our old show you did, so would you say to, like, the governor, listen, these short, your answers have to be shorter, more precise?
Definitely. I try to prep them as much as I can and just tell them to just be direct and speak quickly, because a lot of people like to speak slowly and say and all that stuff. So you just like I said, you don't want that. But yeah, you just kind of have to wing it and work on the fly, and hopefully it just goes your way. So you don't want to over prepare them, because then they'll speak too much and give away too much information in the green room, and then they won't want to say it again when taping has started. So.
Do the people on your current show wear eyepiece?
No, only I do. Yeah. But I think Lindsay wanted to talk about how
The importance of video.
the importance of video for marketing and for businesses, and
I don't want to hear important videos for Marky. We had enough with Mark, all right?
I think it's really important, especially we're in 2018, and we're closely approaching 2019, and video production and video marketing on a social media platform is so important, and a lot of people, I think, in this area are still on that word of mouth advertising, and they don't realize the potential and the clients that they could reach by using social media platforms and going out there and using companies such as all of us up here to market their business and use that to the best of their abilities by showcasing, because seeing is believing. So you could post all you want about a sale that you're having, but the second that you put a video to it and show your product or show what you're offering or showing a face to your business, that really says a lot. And people like to see, small business owners on camera talking about what it is, what they're passionate about, and just how important just video is. And print and video are equally important. But just to talk about that, so if anyone has any questions on video marketing directly.
testimonials are actually the most popular form of video on social media platforms. And also 64% of viewers who watch a video go on to purchase the product that they're watching. So that's how powerful a video is compared to just seeing a picture or words.
No, you're totally right. I just wanted to add, in 2019, 80% of all consumer internet content is going to be video. And also, this fact blew me away. When people watch video, they retain the message 90% of the time compared to print. Only 10% of them retain the message. So that's, and you're right about that also. Yeah, I read that too. It's like 60-something% go on to make a purchase after viewing the video.
Because businesses don't understand.
A branded video.
When they have a video, that video gets shared over and over and over again. The reach is like 135% compared to not having anything or just posting words or a picture.
Yeah, 50% of Facebook people who see a video share it. So yeah, it's really amazing actually. If you look at the
Tutorials
stats.
are really popular too.
All right. We'd love to hear it.
So, as far as, so it sounds like a lot of what you guys are doing as far as the testimonials and tutorials are one aspect of your business. But where does the concept come in? When are you kind of leading the client? Are they ever coming to you completely unaware of where they're going to go with this? How are we going to make this conceptual, interesting, emotional? And with that, how are you guys concepting for that sort of thing? Is it starting on pen and pad? Is it starting simply with them leading the conversation, or are you starting to lead it? How does that go?
Yeah.
You're talking when it's not testimony, it's more just creative concept, like scripted. Yeah, which we're doing. We do so much more now. It's like testimony, and I know you do a lot more of like storyboarding and that. So you might want to take that.
On what?
Storyboarding, creative concepting from an idea as opposed to reality type verite stuff.
I think the hardest part is you might have a client that says, like, I want this, this, and this, and I want, someone flying in and everything, and kind of bringing it down to, okay, well, what is your budget? What are you looking for? And then how could we make that possible? Or sometimes, a client will have, they're not a creative and they don't understand what is the best way to market their business, so that's where we'll come up with a creative for them. So it's like 50-50. That would be my estimate, because you have some clients that know exactly what they want. Sometimes it's very elaborate, and you could say, okay, well, we could provide this service for you. We'll try to do that as best as possible. Or that's a great idea. Let's run with that. And then you have other clients who want to do video, but they're unsure of what's the best possible way. So then that's when, creative, it might be a little bit more creative on our part now that I'm thinking of it. So I don't know what it's like.
Give him a microphone. It's like Comic-Con.
Yeah, I could talk about this for hours, but
Let's start.
Well, we only have 2 hours left, John.
Oh, all right. There's no watch there. But when it comes to, like, the first thing I generally ask my clients and the people I work with is, like, what are you trying to accomplish with the video? What are you trying to do with it? And then we try to figure out ways to do it that's kind of a little differently. I work mostly 99.9% online. I mean, my TV ads have all been stuff I did through other marketing companies and just subcontracted. But like YouTube, I mean, tutorials, somebody mentioned that a minute ago, are ginormous. They're huge. Like, and if you can get your product into a couple tutorials, into a couple examples, if you can make a series, I mean, it costs next to nothing to advertise with YouTube and put your video out in front of dozens and dozens of other relevant channels. The pre-roll advertising. If somebody's looking up like how to mix a specific kind of drink, and you sell ice cube trays, that's where you make the tutorial on that, how to do it, and you use these skull and crossbone ice cubes or whatever.
It just amazes me that more businesses aren't utilizing videos for their websites, for their social media platforms. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I don't know what you're finding, but I just feel like a lot of people in this area are just happy with the status quo instead of getting with the times, because millennials today, that's all they're on their phones. I mean, more and more people are just watching videos on their mobile devices. So why not jump on the bandwagon while it's hot?
Oh yeah, and that's ways to like get people attached and kind of in love with your business, is if you teach them how to do stuff that uses your product, even if it is just vaguely related. You just keep people's eyes on your site, on your Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter is whatever, but and YouTube, and it's I kind of feel I sometimes feel overwhelmed being around lots of TV and high-end film production.
We love you.
People, because I'm doing I'm running 2 or 3 dozen YouTube channels for different clients, and I have a dozen of my own channels, and all we do is just push and push and push, and getting to the point where I don't know, 570 Drone itself using video, and we built our following from in 6 months to close to 4,000 followers on Facebook, and hundreds and hundreds on the one YouTube channel, and just providing content that just makes people want what you're selling, I guess.
So
I
releasing
lost it.
content to YouTube now, because it's drastically changed, like their algorithms have changed, Facebook as well. But YouTube, how have you seen over the past couple of years, especially in this past year, with working with YouTube, and
yeah, the algorithms have changed for the better, in my opinion. Like, you used to be able to like a lot of creators are pissed off because they're not getting ad revenue, but if as a business owner you don't care about the ad revenue, you want the right people to find your channel. So getting 100 million views on your video matters less than getting 200 super hardcore people who want to actually buy your product. So gaming the algorithm means absolutely nothing. Being really specific about your keywords and your message is really important.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean it. Was your question about creativity and where does it come from?
Not so much where it comes from, but almost sort of how you
Who starts that ball rolling?
So I'm in the billboard industry, right? So I design for one single shot, one single panel,
Yeah.
type of thing. So I wonder how you guys kind of concept for that sort of thing, how you lead your client down that concepting road.
Don't think for 1 second it's like I'm the boss. It's totally collaborative. It's very sometimes you get I want you to push the record button and I'm going to tell you where to put the camera, and you gotta suck it up and deal with those. And then sometimes, very fortunately and very rare, are the ones who go, roll with this, we trust you. Those, like I said, are few and far between. I've recently had really good opportunities. Which is basically we just did an ad a couple months ago, and all I was given was one word. That's what the ad's about. And literally in 7 minutes, I wrote it down. I did a little narrative, and all of a sudden it was that's it. When do we shoot? Oh, we shoot in 2 days. Because we have to have it done in 5. So you don't know where it comes from. You don't know if it's a shower, and then some days it's an absolute grind, a struggle. You're running through quicksand, and it sucks.
If I could follow up on your YouTube comments, are you uploading 4K video to YouTube?
Oh yeah.
So it's true 4K.
I'm uploading straight 4K to YouTube, the highest quality file possible, and they're coming out great. But to follow up on the YouTube thing again, it's there's unlimited ideas for video that don't look like ads at all. If you own a store, right here, this you could do beer reviews and all kinds of stuff on YouTube and just get a potential massive base that just
just
worships
keep that
your
content,
product.
create it, keep going, because it's not so much about putting one piece of content out there. It's creating content that's going to keep the audience engaged as well, especially on a social media platform.
One question I had is, I don't know in Luzerne County if there's stink bugs. I'm finding them all over the house. And I don't know if other people are having this problem, but it's something to consider to talk about after the event. I'll be sticking around. I've been finding them, they're everywhere. They get in between the windows and the screen. And then they die there. And I've had 3 of them there for a year. I won't clean them up. But anyways, we have time for one question before we expire. And I really think it should come from Fox. Fire away, man.
I'd like to talk about copyright. How do you handle
Well, that's law.
copyright
No lawyers up here. No legal advice at the AF.
Yeah, do we want to go back to Fleetwood Mac and we can answer this on the side because that's a 40-minute conversation.
There's going to be a networking event afterwards, John, if you want to meet us.
I feel that it's different in different industries. So I know, like, I hear about what goes on in print. So I'll see somebody in a print magazine be like, I own that. Give me another $2,000 so you can take the idea somewhere else.
In my business,
though,
in my business, in lieu of a contract, everything I shoot, I own. It's mine. How you shoot it, how you do it, I own that. Somebody comes up with the story idea, that's theirs. They could go redo that commercial wherever they want, somewhere, whatever movie, they could go redo that, right? The rest is my IP. How I shoot it, how I edit it, how I color it, how I do the sound, right? I own that. I earned that. I worked my ass off to get there, right? Nobody owns my raw footage. Nobody.
So do you give the raw footage to your client?
Absolutely not.
Never. You charge?
It's the same reason why somebody doesn't sell a logo for the hours that they spent on it. Because they're killing their opportunity for future work. I own this. I'll license it to you. You have the right to use it. You can't augment it in any way until you hire me. Nobody gets my raws unless they pay for it.
I'm just gonna segue off this question and copyright and that to kind of throw this over to Paula. Have you ever dealt with someone who has been interviewed or has been where they thought they were represented the wrong way or ill way on television? What was your reaction, or how did you handle that type of situation?
I'd have to go back to my news days where people would always say, or not always say, some people who were afraid to be interviewed, depending on the topic, would say, well, you're going to change what I say. Yeah. And I said, I can't change your words. I mean, we can edit it so that it's shorter, but we can't put words in your mouth. What you say is what is recorded. So there are some people out there who are fearful of that, but...
That's a soundbite fear.
Soundbite fear, yeah. But in social media videos, no, I haven't really come across that.
It kind of played into that copyright, well, that isn't what I said, so that's not correct. That's not.
Some people may be afraid of the context, of how it's placed in context, but if you tell them up front what the story is about, then it's pretty black and white. Yeah. And we just say, this is TV. We're not editing your words to change your words. So most people understand it, but some people just like to give you a hard time based out of fear.
But just your point, John, I have worked with agency owners who their philosophy is the client owns the footage. And it's worked to their advantage at times, and it's worked I'm just telling you, man, I've been in situations where people who took Mark's road, which it's worked for you, it didn't work for them. And they lost a big client because of it. So I'm kind of half and half on that. I know.
That's a personality thing.
It just depends.
We have, and it's very rare that we would hand over the raw footage. But if the client does want to buy that for future use or whatever for their own social, say that they're,
pay you,
then that would be a situation. That would be.
Is that built into the production contract that we spoke about earlier?
If discussed prior to, yes. If it's something that they came to after, that would result into a new contract being written.
One last question. How do you handle makeup?
On weekends, I usually go down to Alexander's. And
Makeup is different for Paola than it might be for a 30-second.
What's the difference between makeup and translucent powder?
Powder?
Makeup is a necessity.
Never neglect makeup. Rock Hudson, not a good example. George Clooney and Brad Pitt wear makeup.
Even
the
just
newscasters wear makeup. You have to,
Yeah.
or else you're going to look like a nuclear weapon went off on your face.
Exactly.
You got a powder.
okay, well, that was
begin the
really
networking
exciting.
phase.
I haven't had this much fun. in
You did a
long
great
time.
job
Thank you.
emceeing. Thank you.
Give it up for Joe.
Hey, stick around. Mark, he wants to hang out, man. He wants to talk.
He's a big hangouter.
Yeah, he just ate 100 milligrams of this. He's going to talk all night. He'll hang out right here. I'll keep the mic
Anybody
on.
get the barbecue running? I'm over there.
Well, we're going to wrap the formality of it, but mingle. meet new people. You know, get nuts. Just get crazy. I mean, we paid to rent this place. Let's fuck it up. Let's get nuts. Hey, let's hear another round of applause for our panel. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you.